Before I get started, I want to let everyone know that this episode has zero filters. The language I use is strong and can be offensive to some. So if that bothers you, please feel free to stop here and find another episode to enjoy. I won't apologize for this one, though. Every word I say in this episode is absolutely necessary. Thank you if you stick around, and know that I understand if you don't. Either way, here goes. I have a confession to make. I love humanity. I believe we're all connected. I believe there's something divine within every single one of us. I believe we're souls having this strange, beautiful human experience together. And some of you motherfuckers are making it really difficult. Seriously. There are days when I look around at the world and I think life is an incredible gift. This planet is beautiful. Being alive is an absolute fucking miracle. If it weren't for all the people, this place would be amazing. And lately, I've been thinking about that contradiction because I'm supposed to be spiritual, right? I'm supposed to meditate and breathe and be present, choose love, see the divine in everyone. And I do believe those things. But then I turn on the news, or I open social media, or I listen to somebody confidently explaining something they clearly know absolutely nothing about. And suddenly my higher self has left the fucking building. Namaste, but what the actual fuck? And that's what I want to talk about today, because I don't think I'm alone in this. I think there are a lot of us trying to live consciously, trying to be compassionate, trying to become more peaceful, while simultaneously looking around at what's happening politically, socially, culturally, and sometimes just in the goddamn grocery store parking lot. And thinking, are you fucking kidding me? And then comes the second feeling, guilt. Because somewhere along the way, somewhere along that spiritual path, many of us have picked up this idea that we're not supposed to feel this way anymore. That anger means we've lost our center. Judgment means we're unevolved. Frustration means we're operating at a low vibration. And if we're really enlightened, apparently we're supposed to smile serenely while the world burns and whisper, everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Well, maybe. But sometimes shit is also fucked up. And I think we're allowed to say that. So today I want to explore a question I've genuinely been asking myself. Am I being a spiritual hypocrite because I'm pissed off at what's happening around me? Or is it actually healthy to be conflicted? Can I love humanity and be furious with humans? Can I believe we're all one and still desperately wish certain parts of the one would stop being assholes? Can I seek peace without pretending I'm okay with things that violate everything I believe? I think we can. In fact, I'm starting to think maybe that's where the real spiritual work begins. Is it okay to be spiritual AF and still pissed off?
Welcome to Aligned AF, real talk for evolving souls with Yahweh Kent. Join Yahweh for honest conversations on spiritual growth, the messiness of life, and how to move through it all at a higher frequency. So grab a cup of tea and let's sail in. This is Aligned AF, and here's Yahweh.
Welcome back to Aligned AF, real talk for the evolving soul. I am Yahweh. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'm I've really enjoyed the comments, the questions, the stories that you've all been sharing with me. So please keep it coming. And I'm really looking forward to today's episode because I'm taking off the gloves, dropping the volume on the filters. Yeah, I actually have been careful with some of what I say and how I say it, and looking honestly at something that I believe each and every one of us goes through, trying to define what that looks like, and still dealing with day to day, week to week, year to year frustrations and annoyances that somehow trigger us beyond the lessons we've learned in our books, our retreats, our meditations. I don't know exactly when spirituality became synonymous with emotional neutrality, but somewhere along the way, anger got a really shitty publicist. We started labeling emotions: love, high vibration; gratitude, high vibration; joy, high vibration; anger, whoa, 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 whoa. Better clear that energy. And I understand the idea. Living in chronic anger isn't healthy. Neither is resentment, neither is hatred. But there's a huge difference between experiencing anger and building a fucking condo there. Anger is information. Something matters to me. Something feels unjust. Something crossed a boundary. Something I value feels threatened. That doesn't automatically make my anger unenlightened. Anger can absolutely distort things. It can make us cruel. It can make us reactive. It can convince us we're righteous when we're actually just being assholes ourselves. But the emotion itself, it's human. And I'm still human. Spirituality didn't revoke my membership. I didn't start meditating and suddenly become a floating orb of white light who never gets annoyed when somebody leaves their shopping cart sideways in the middle of the aisle. I'm still here, in a body, having emotions, living among 7 or 8 billion other complicated people who are also having emotions. And some of them are making choices I deeply disagree with. Pretending that doesn't affect me isn't enlightenment. It's acting, it's pretending. And here's the uncomfortable part of that. Because I talk about compassion, I talk about connection, I talk about love, I believe we're all expressions of the same source. And then someone does something that I find cruel, dishonest, selfish, hateful, or unbelievably fucking stupid. And compassion is not necessarily my first response. Sometimes my first response is fuck that guy. So, am I a hypocrite? I don't think so. I think hypocrisy would be pretending I never have that thought. There's a difference between what I feel and what I choose to do with what I feel. And that's where the spiritual practice lives. Maybe enlightenment isn't reaching some magical point where anger never appears. Maybe it's noticing, wow, I'm really fucking angry right now. And instead of immediately reacting, I get curious. Why? What's underneath this? Is it fear? Grief? Is it powerlessness? Injustice? Has something I deeply value been violated? Sometimes anger is covering a wound, but sometimes anger is pointing directly at a value. This matters to me, and that is useful information. I hope you're enjoying today's episode. You know, sometimes we spend so much time talking about healing that we forget there's support available while we're doing the work. If something from today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love to walk alongside you for a while. Through truth coaching, we gently uncover the stories and beliefs that may be keeping you stuck so you can reconnect with the wisdom that's already within you. I also offer distance Reiki and Metatron Cube installations for those who feel called to experience healing from a more energetic perspective. You don't have to have everything figured out before reaching out. You don't have to be in crisis. Sometimes all you need is a conversation with someone who can help you see what you've been unable to see on your own. If you'd like to learn more, reach out to me at alignedafpodcast@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to today's conversation. Politics is probably where this gets hardest. And I'm not interested in telling anybody which party to support or who to vote for. That's not what this conversation is about. I'm talking about what politics and the state of the world can stir up inside us. Because sometimes I genuinely hate what I'm seeing. I hate cruelty. I hate dishonesty. I hate watching people treat each other like enemies. I hate watching complicated human beings reduced to labels. Left, right, liberal, conservative, woke, MAGA, snowflake, fascist, communist. Whatever word allows us to stop seeing the human being standing underneath it. And here's where I have to check myself. Because I hate the division while I participate in it. I can complain about how judgmental everybody has become while judging the shit out of everybody. I can talk about compassion while secretly deciding that certain people no longer deserve mine. That's where the mirror gets uncomfortable. Not because my anger is wrong, but because I have to decide what kind of person am I going to become because I'm angry. And this brings up something I think we desperately need to reclaim. Compassion does not mean agreement. Understanding someone doesn't mean endorsing their behavior. Seeing someone's humanity doesn't require pretending their choices aren't harmful. I can say, I believe what you're doing is wrong. I can oppose it. I can vote against it. I can speak against it. I can set boundaries around it. I can refuse to participate in it. And I can still remember that there's a human being on the other side of it. That doesn't make me weak. It doesn't make me passive, and it sure as hell doesn't mean I have to invite everyone over for tea. You can recognize someone's humanity and still decide, you are not somebody I want in my life. You can wish someone healing from a considerable fucking distance. That's allowed. And this is where things get tricky, because spirituality sometimes teaches us not to judge. But we're constantly making judgments. We have to. That's part of navigating life. The question is whether I'm practicing discernment or simply condemning another human being. There's a difference between I believe what you're doing is harmful and you are fundamentally worthless because you're doing it. One addresses behavior, the other erases humanity. And I'll admit, sometimes I cross that line in my head. I think most of us do. The spiritual practice isn't pretending that the thought never happened. It's catching it. Because the moment I turn another person into something less than human, I've started using the exact same machinery that creates most of the shit I'm angry about in the first place. And that's humbling. And it's fucking annoying. Because sometimes it would be easier if the other person could just be an asshole. It's much easier. But humans are messy, including me, especially me. So maybe the better question isn't, how do I stop being angry? Maybe it's, what is my anger asking me to stand for? If I'm angry about cruelty, maybe I'm being called towards kindness. If I'm angry about dishonesty, Maybe I'm being asked to live more truthfully. If I'm angry about people being marginalized, maybe I'm being asked to speak. Suddenly, anger becomes fuel, not fuel for hatred, fuel for alignment. Because anger contains an enormous amount of energy, and energy needs somewhere to go. We can dump it into Facebook. We can scream at strangers. We can doom scroll ourselves into emotional paralysis. We can spend 6 hours consuming content specifically designed to keep us pissed off. Or we can use that energy. Vote, volunteer, create, speak, help somebody. Have the difficult conversation, set the boundary, raise our kids differently, treat the person standing in front of us with dignity, actually become more of what we wish the world contained. That's where anger becomes useful. And sometimes you can just be pissed off. That's it. Not every emotion needs to become a spiritual lesson before bedtime. Sometimes something happens and you think, that fucking sucks. And maybe that's enough for today. Feel it, talk about it, go for a walk, do some journaling, scream into a pillow, go outside, turn off the goddamn news, and then make dinner. We don't have to immediately transmute every human emotion into golden spiritual wisdom. Sometimes the healthiest thing we can do is simply acknowledge this is what I'm feeling right now, without judging ourselves for it, without feeding it, without building an identity around it. Just let it be true and let it pass when it's ready. Maybe this is really what I've been learning. Two things can be true. Life is beautiful, and life can be incredibly fucking hard. Human beings are magnificent, and human beings can behave horribly. I can love someone and not like them very much right now. I can believe in unity while establishing boundaries. I can be compassionate and furious. I can seek peace while refusing to become passive. I can believe there is divinity within everyone and still think some people are doing a spectacular job of hiding it. Maybe spiritual maturity isn't eliminating these contradictions. Maybe it's becoming big enough to hold them. My humanity can say, this is fucking wrong. And my spirituality can answer, yes. And don't forget they're human too. Maybe neither voice needs to win. Maybe wisdom happens when they're willing to sit at the same table. So, am I a hypocrite? Maybe sometimes. I'm human. I'm inconsistent. I have beautiful thoughts and shitty ones. Some days I'm compassionate. Some days I'm judgmental. Some days I feel connected to everyone, and some days I'd like humanity to stay at least 50 feet away from me. If you ever read my Facebook page, you'd see examples of all of this. But I don't think the goal of this journey is perfection. And I definitely don't think the goal is becoming emotionally numb. I don't want spirituality to make me care less about what's happening in the world. I want it to teach me how to care deeply without letting that caring destroy my peace. I want to be angry about injustice without becoming consumed by hatred. I want to disagree without dehumanizing. I want to stand firmly for what I believe without needing everyone who disagrees with me to become my enemy. And when I fail at that, I want enough awareness to catch myself and begin again. Because Maybe peace isn't about never getting pissed off. Maybe peace is knowing that anger can move through me without becoming who I am. Maybe compassion isn't approving of everyone. Maybe it's refusing to surrender my own humanity in response to someone else's. And maybe being spiritually aligned doesn't mean looking at a fucked up situation and somehow convincing myself that it's beautiful. Sometimes alignment looks like standing there and saying, no, this is not okay. This matters to me and I'm angry. And then asking the question that changes everything. Who do I want to be because of it? Because I can be spiritual as fuck and still be pissed off. I can love humanity even when people are annoying the shit out of me. And occasionally, I can put my hands together, take a nice deep spiritual breath, and lovingly, compassionately, and wholeheartedly say, Namaste, but what the actual fuck? And still, we can remember that we're getting closer and closer to aligned AF every single day. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today. If this episode spoke to you at all, share it with a friend or someone who needs it. You can also leave a review or connect with me online. You can find Aligned AF on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast channel, or at alignedaf.org. And if you want to reach out directly, you can email me at alignedafpodcast@gmail.com. So until next time, stay aligned AF.